let you in on a little secret. I'm not a very patient person. Now, I know that might come as a surprise to the people that know me, but I'm not a very good waiter. I hate waiting. I mean, I am the person who's checking my phone for my Amazon delivery. You know, when the new phone comes out, I've got to get it. I am enthralled with just how fast things move. And so it might not surprise you that as an agent for social change, the speed at which social change moves drives me crazy. It's just too slow. You know, I mean, in 2016, we've got technology, supercomputers in our pockets. We can call each other, we can email each other, we can text, we can ping, we can IM, we can tweet. If we're under 30, we can swipe, we can follow, we can like. And yet, we still can't agree that climate change is real. This is troubling to me. And I think I know the reason why social change is a little too slow. And I want to talk tonight about how we might close the gap between the change that we need and the amount of time it takes to get there. So in my work, I work with a lot of different types of people. You might know them as lawyers, doctors, CEOs, accountants. They're in all lines of work, but you may have experienced them at one time or another in your life as something not by their profession, but by their attitude. And these people, and just hear me out, these people actually hold the key to increasing the speed of social change. These people are misunderstood, they're underappreciated, and they're also total assholes. That's right. Assholes hold the key to increasing the speed of social change. And so you're probably wondering, okay, how do they do that? Well, for starters, very few people can bring total strangers together quite like an asshole can. Okay, so imagine it's Saturday night. I'm cheap. Saturday afternoon. And, and it's the new Meryl Streep movie, and we are there with our spouse, our partner, our friends, our family, and we are there, we're excited to see how she's gonna win her next Academy Award. So we're watching the film, we're following the story, we're about 10 minutes in, and all of a sudden, you hear it. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. And at that moment, the asshole is about to accomplish something miraculous. And he's taken a great Saturday night, or if you're cheap, Saturday afternoon, and has turned it into something else. A small period of almost like this inner but collective rage. And why? Why is that? It's because this person has this audacious sense of entitlement that my phone is ringing, so I should answer it. And we're kind of looking at him like, what are you doing? So in that moment of this sense of entitlement, what this person has done is like he's actually created almost like a sense of shared identity, right? He's reminding us of actually who we are on the inside, that we're the kind of people that respects other people's time, other people's space. We do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. When we make a mistake, we own up to it. When we make a mess, we clean it up. We're good people. This person, in this moment of audacious entitlement, has reminded us of who we are, but he's also done something else. He's actually audacious enough to offset the status quo, right? There's a sense of expectation that happens when you are in a particular context. In the context of a movie, you don't talk during a movie. Sometimes I talk at the movie. But you don't typically talk during the movie. But this person has this sense of entitlement to say, I am going to do this. So in the same time that there is this sense of entitlement, this person has also managed to challenge our sense of expectation. The third thing that this person does in this particular context is he actually expedites a situation. Because here's the thing about assholes. Regardless of whether or not they are a top-notch asshole or kind of amateur night asshole, they can't be ignored. And so in that moment, they have to be engaged. It could be a dirty look. It could be a collective shh. It could be that someone, usually probably a mom, nudging the person, saying, hey, you need to take this outside, right? But in that moment, there is this sense that whatever is happening, there has to be an expedited resolution of the challenge. And so even though this is a social situation we're talking about, all of those elements are the things that are necessary to activate social change. So let's start with a sense of entitlement. In 1955, there was a woman, Rosa Parks, sitting in her seat on a bus, and she was engaged by someone who demanded her seat. She said no. And why did she say no? Was she just saying no because she was entitled to the seat? I mean, maybe the simplest answer could be, yeah, she felt she was entitled to the seat, but she was actually entitled to much more than that. In that moment, she felt she was entitled to basic human dignity and respect. And also in that moment, her willingness to step up and challenge also offset the status quo in that moment, because there was a sense of expectation. Jim Crow South. We ask for your seat, you get up, you go to the back. We're walking on the same sidewalk, you step to the side. You have separate drinking fountains, separate amusement parks, separate schools. That was just the way things were. And in that moment, with her audacious entitlement to dignity and respect, she actually changed the expectation. And so the third part, and this is actually the part that I really want. So it's one thing for the asshole to embody this sense of entitlement. It's another thing also for this person to really begin to challenge social expectation. It's the expedition part. Like what happens in a moment when you're encountering an asshole? And I should preface this by saying that sometimes asshole's not a person. Sometimes it's a set of conditions. Sometimes it's a thing. But in that moment, the asshole has to be confronted. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about. So who are we? Who are we as a country? You know, tonight we've heard a few references to the election, and so that's been a big question. Who is America? Who are we? Who's included? Who's included in the vision for the country that we are supposed to have? Who is excluded from that? So in that moment of engaging the person that might be the asshole, the situation of the asshole, you're thinking about, who are we? What are we entitled to? What do we expect? Because when you're steadfast in your sense of entitlement, and when you expect to win, when you engage, everything will begin to change. This happened recently in Flint, Michigan. People there are entitled to fresh drinking water. So when they go to their taps, the expectation is clean water will come out of the taps. Except clean water wasn't coming out of the taps. So they could have just said, you know, we're out of clean water. I guess we'll wait. We'll wait until we find out that the water is clean. That's not what happened. Individuals began to tell their stories to each other. Yeah, I have brown water. Yeah, I've got brown water. You have brown water too? We expect something different because we're entitled to something different. It's time to engage the asshole. And who was the asshole? It was bureaucracy. At the local, county, state level, failure everywhere. And the people stood up and said, enough is enough. And in fact, because of their demand, they did what I'm actually encouraging us to do. They actually became the bigger asshole. They became such an asshole that MSNBC, CNN, Fox, everybody descended upon Flint to say, this is wrong. This must change. That's the power of being the collective asshole. Now, here's the thing. There is a profound asshole shortage in this room. There is a profound asshole shortage across America. Now, there are places where you can definitely go and find them. I just came from one of such places, Washington, D.C. You could go to New York City. You could go to Silicon Valley. You could go to Paris. But in order for social change to happen much faster, I want to encourage you to consider channeling your inner asshole. Whatever it is for, if it's for climate change, if you are a female college student, for your right to walk out of this campus and not be afraid. If you are a person of color who wants to walk down the street and not to be stopped and frisked. If you are an immigrant or a refugee, for you not to be fearful of being stopped for being an immigrant or a refugee. You are entitled. You are entitled to dignity and respect. You have a right to expect that when you're in this country, you have the rights and privileges of being an American. And you have a right to expect that those things will not happen 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. You have a right to expect those things to happen right now. Let us consider being the bigger asshole and advancing social change.